Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're jumping into what can only be described as a total market catastrophe.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We're talking about the cost of renting a car on Maui for Thanksgiving 2025.
We're looking at your source material, which is a full analysis of, well, price volatility and just plain shortages across 7 different vehicle types at Kahului Airport OGG.
And what the data is showing us is it's so much more than just a typical holiday price surge. We're looking at a systemic price shock. We've analyzed the lowest weekly rates from all the major companies.
And we're not just talking high prices. These numbers, they reflect a market that's completely exhausted.
Exactly. Supply has just failed in some really key areas.
Okay, so the immediate snapshot is pretty grim. The main finding is that prices are right back at those record-setting levels we saw last Christmas, right? Christmas 2024.
They are. But there's a new twist this time, a new variable that's just causing chaos.
And that's the multi-passenger vehicles.
They vanished. Minivans are completely sold out. And that one fact is like a wrecking ball hitting the rest of the market, driving up the price of anything that could possibly be a substitute.
That's the substitution effect you mentioned.
It's the core of the crisis. I mean, you take the most practical option for a family, the minivan, and you just remove it from the market overnight. All that demand, it transfers violently over to Jeeps and the big SUVs.
And we're about to see just how much that's costing people. All right, let's get into the numbers. The sheer scale of this Thanksgiving price explosion. We're looking at the week-over-week change for rentals starting November 24th.
And if you're a traveler who waited, thinking you could snag a basic car at the last minute, you are in for a rude awakening.
Even for the cheapest cars.
Oh yeah, even the cheapest options saw these huge jumps. An economy car, the absolute cheapest we found, starts at $532 for the week. That's from 6T.
And that's up how much from the week before?
That's an 89% jump. Mid-size cars are a little more, $688 from Hertz, and that's up 74%.
So for just a basic car, you're already paying double what you would have a few weeks ago.
Pretty much. But that's not the real horror story.
No, the real story is in those high-demand vehicles, the ones families and groups want. This is where you see the pricing algorithms just go wild. Let's talk about Jeeps.
Okay, Jeeps. The sources show they jumped an incredible 409%. Week over week.
409.
So if you want that Jeep Wrangler for the iconic road trip, you're looking at $2,595.
From dollar.
In 1 week, 409%. I mean, to put that in perspective for you listening,
Yeah.
if your rent went up that much, you'd assume the whole system was broken.
And that's exactly what's happening here. The system is broken.
And if the Jeep situation is an emergency, then the standard SUV, that's a full-blown catastrophe.
It really is. Standard SUV soared by 629%.
Which brings the price to a jaw-dropping $3,075 from 6XT. The price literally went up more than 7 times in 1 week.
7 times. Okay, we have to pause here and talk about how that happens. This isn't just supply and demand anymore. This is that algorithmic pricing you mentioned, right?
Right.
Under extreme stress.
Precisely. The system isn't trying to sell the last few cars at a competitive price. It knows the supply is almost gone. So at this point, it shifts into what you could call desperation pricing.
It's trying to find the one person.
The one person who absolutely has to have that last SUV and is desperate enough or rich enough to pay $3,000 for it. That price tag is basically a flashing red light saying we are running on empty.
And it doesn't stop there. With minivans totally gone from OGG, the 7-seat SUVs are the only option left for a big group.
And they climbed another 130% this week, hitting $3,414.
So for a family of 5 or 6, your options are either non-existent or they cost more than your plane tickets.
And the sources specifically tie these prices, that $2,500 to $3,400 range, directly back to what we saw during that Christmas 2024 peak. It's proof this is a genuine, severe shortage.
Okay, those week-to-week numbers are they're shocking. But let's zoom out. How do these Thanksgiving prices compare to the long-term, the 52-week median price, the price you'd normally expect to pay?
Right. Comparing against the median is the best way to see the, let's call it the high season tax you're paying.
And for basic cars?
Your economy and midsize are about double their median price, so a 98 and a 102% premium. It's steep, but, maybe you could see it coming.
But I have to ask about the SUV. A 629% premium over a median of $422. Is it possible that median is just artificially low, from huge off-season discounts, making the premium look worse?
That's a great question, and it's something you have to consider. But the scale of what we're seeing here it's just
It's
unprecedented.
not just a seasonal adjustment.
No. The Jeeps are at a 381% premium. That's almost 4 times their median of $539. Paying 4 to 7 times the normal annual rate for a car signifies a true market failure. That $3,000 price is pure scarcity.
Okay, now let's talk about the two categories that sort of buck the trend. This is the aha moment. First, the convertible mystery. Everything else is spiking, so why did convertibles only go up 1% this week?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Jeeps are up 409%, but convertibles just flatlined. They're at $919 for the week.
And that's only, what, 28% above their median?
Just 28%.
Yeah.
In this market, a 28% premium almost feels like a bargain. It suggests they're somehow insulated from that minivan substitution effect. We'll get into the why in a bit.
And the second anomaly is when you look year over year, for some people, things actually got cheaper.
Right. If you're renting a compact car, the price is actually down 3% compared to last Thanksgiving.
But if you're a family needing an SUV,
That's a different story. If you rented a standard or a 7-seat SUV last year, you probably paid around $600 or $700.
and this year?
This year, those same vehicles are 5 times that price. So this isn't inflation. It's a targeted shock hitting only multi-passenger vehicles. And that difference is what we have to decode.
So we know it's extreme scarcity, it's desperation pricing, and it's laser focused on large vehicles. This feels like a natural disaster, but it's man-made. So look, peel back that curtain. It all starts with the minivan crisis.
The root cause, is a national minivan shortage. It stems from a huge safety recall from Chrysler over the summer. It had to do with brakes or steering, I believe, and it just decimated rental fleets across the country.
But the sources say that in Maui, things seemed to recover pretty quickly. Minivans were back on the booking sites in September, early October. How did that happen?
That was most likely a temporary regulatory exemption. It's a pretty common thing, actually. An agency will grant a short-term waiver to keep recalled vehicles on the road, especially in a constrained market like an island.
It's basically a loophole to keep things moving.
Exactly. A temporary loophole until the final fix is available.
So what happened right before Thanksgiving? Let me guess.
The exemption expired. It looks like the waiver period ended just as the holiday rush hit its peak. So any fleet that hadn't been fully fixed or replaced had to pull their minivans from service immediately.
So the supply went from limited to zero overnight.
Overnight, that's what happened.
And the timing. A regulatory cliff right before the busiest travel period of the year. That's a perfect storm. The market had no time to adjust.
None. And all that pressure, 100% of it, went straight to the substitute vehicles. That's where you get your 400, 600% spikes. The system knew it had to find a car for these families, and all that was left were Jeeps and big SUVs.
Okay, let's circle back to the convertibles. Why were they stuck at a high price, but not volatile like the SUVs?
This is a really interesting logistics puzzle. Our sources saw something fascinating. Hundreds of brand new convertibles just sitting in the rental lots near the airport.
They were there, but you couldn't rent them.
Correct. They were waiting on final licensing, titling, cleaning, all the final fleet integration steps.
So the old cars were already gone.
Shipped off island. But the new ones weren't ready yet. So the available fleet was artificially small right at the wrong time. This kept the price stuck at that relatively high $900 level.
The expected new supply never materialized in time.
Exactly. It prevents the price from spiking because they aren't a substitute for a minivan, but it also prevents the price from dropping because the operational supply is just too low.
Knowing all this, the minivan exemption, the convertible delays, what can someone listening expect moving forward, say, into December?
Well, there's a small bit of good news. The forecast shows a dip right after Thanksgiving. The lowest price for a rental at OGG drops back down to about $261 on December 1st.
So there's a brief window of sanity.
A very brief respite, yes. But that piece is extremely short-lived. We're heading right into the Christmas shock, and I'm hearing the advanced prices are already astronomical.
Worse than last year.
The market consensus is that Christmas 2025 is going to be significantly worse than last year's unprecedented situation.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We already have sellouts for Thanksgiving, and the minivan problem is not going to be fixed by Christmas.
So the advanced prices are already sky high, and the last-minute prices will be even worse.
They'll push the algorithmic limits even further.
Okay, so practical strategy. Should anyone even think about waiting for a last-minute deal?
That is a firm no. For most of the year, that was a decent bet. But since early October, that trend is completely reversed.
The pressure is just too high now.
It is. I mean, look at the numbers. A rental for this week, if you booked it 5 weeks ago, was $220.
And if you booked it yesterday?
$532. The savings are all in booking early, even if those advanced prices feel painfully high.
So the lesson is don't play chicken with the market. But what if you're locked into a trip and you're staring down a $3,000 SUV price? Can you save money by leaving the airport?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the single biggest practical tip in the data. The price spikes are so concentrated at the airport that renting off-airport offers huge savings.
How huge?
For an economy car, you save 48%. For that critical standard SUV, you save a staggering 58%.
58%, that's a massive difference. That brings a $3,000 rental down to, what, like $1,200, $1,300? Still high, but
But not impossible. And crucially, it's the only way to get a multi-passenger vehicle right now. Our sources found minivans were only available off-airport.
why is that?
They were from smaller local companies whose fleets weren't subject to that specific Chrysler recall. So for any family needing more than 4 seats, that is an essential tip.
Before we wrap, let's put Maui in context. With these prices, is it the most expensive island right now?
Surprisingly, no. The prices are astronomical. But this week, Maui's actually the second cheapest major Hawaiian airport at $275 for the lowest priced car. Only Honolulu is cheaper.
So the whole state is feeling this.
The entire archipelago is under extreme pressure. Kauai, Kona, Hilo, they all saw huge weekly increases. The shock isn't isolated to Maui. It just happens that Maui's specific regulatory failure made its most popular cars spike the hardest.
That's incredible. You're paying over $500 for the cheapest car, but it's still technically a better deal than some of the other islands. It just shows the scale of the problem.
It really does. You have this baseline of massive holiday demand, and then you amplify it with a very specific, high-impact regulatory event. It creates volatility that's just it's impossible for a traveler to predict.
So that leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. Building on everything we've documented, we know the market is running on desperation pricing. We know Christmas is expected to be even worse. So what does this extreme combination of chronic shortages and wild volatility tell us about the overall health, the operational capacity of the entire Maui tourism infrastructure? If the system can't handle Thanksgiving without breaking the $3,000 barrier, just how fragile is the whole ecosystem? That's the big picture question these numbers raise.